South Park just dropped the second episode of its most savage season yet, torching Kristi Noem, JD Vance, and even Charlie Kirk. Here's a spoiler-filled recap of what you missed and the real-life chaos that inspired it. In the latest episode of South Park, titled Got a Nut, the show follows Eric Cartman and Mr. Mackey through two parallel storylines that eventually collide in classic South Park fashion. First, we see Eric Cartman, South Park's resident bigot and full-time chaos agent, who is furious that Clyde Donovan is stealing his thunder. Yes, Clyde, arguably the most forgettable fourth grader in the series, has suddenly become a viral right-wing debate podcaster, channeling major Charlie Kirk energy.
What is a woman?
What is it? That's a stupid question, dude. That's a dumb question.
What is a woman? It's not a trick question.
And Clyde's content? Offensive hot takes about pro-life choices, women, and anyone else who might take the bait. All packaged as, quote, woke student totally pwned clips engineered for outrage clicks. But unlike the rest of the class, Cartman isn't offended by Clyde's views. No, Eric's offended because that was supposed to be his shtick. And Clyde's reasoning for becoming a podcaster, as he explained to Mr. Mackey, was he was just trying to make his nut, a running gag throughout the episode referring to what people do to cover their expenses. Feeling upstage, Cartman launches his own podcast in retaliation, complete with a hilariously bad Charlie Kirk-style haircut and a new identity as a self-proclaimed, quote, master debater. Real-life Charlie Kirk took to YouTube to react to the show's portrayal of him, and surprisingly, had a pretty good sense of humor about it.
What's on your mind? I gotta be honest. That clip was hilarious.
Both Kirk and his podcast guest even acknowledged how accurate the parody was, right down to the water bottle.
Comedy Central, South Park, you crushed the water.
In the show, both Cartman and Mackey's arcs, one chasing clout, the other a paycheck, ultimately converge at the surreal, corrupt spectacle of Mar-a-Lago. But before we get to that, you need to know Mr. Mackey loses his job as the school's counselor, a real reference to real-life federal rollbacks during the current Trump administration, including cuts to the Department of Education. Desperate to replace his income, Mackey takes a hard pivot, joining ICE under the leadership of cartoonishly exaggerated Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. Mr. Mackey joins a gang of poorly trained masked ICE agents, all under one directive from Noem. Quote, if it's brown, it goes down. It's intentionally over the top, but the satire is grounded in real-life headlines. On July 29th, the Department of Homeland Security launched a campaign called Defend the Homeland, aimed at aggressively recruiting ICE agents to, quote, remove the worst of the worst from the U.S. South Park clearly runs with this, exaggerating it into scenes of ICE literally abducting innocent children from a Dora the Explorer concert and detaining angels in the clouds. And when it comes to Kristi Noem's character, South Park doesn't hold back there either. Noem is portrayed as a trigger-happy ICE boss with a melting face, a not-so-subtle jab at public speculation over her real-life Botox-filled appearance. In the episode, Noem spends most of her screen time gunning down puppies, seemingly for sport. It's brutal, cartoonish, and unfortunately, not entirely fictional. Last year in her own memoir, Noem admitted to shooting her 14-month-old family dog, Cricket, for being, quote, untrainable. The revelation sparked nationwide backlash, with critics calling it cruel and heartless. South Park cranks that scandal up, even portraying Noem walking into a Pets Galore, only to hear gunshots and crying puppies in the end credits. Noem, unlike Kirk, has stayed silent for now. Meanwhile, the show shifts its focus to Vice President JD Vance, who's reimagined as Trump's pint-sized sidekick in a bizarre version at Mar-a-Lago. During the 30-minute episode, Clyde and Mackey are rewarded for their loyalty. Clyde for his viral podcast, Mackey for his ice work, with a golden ticket to Trump's inner circle at Mar-a-Lago. South Park reimagines President Trump's Florida resort as a gaudy, over-the-top version of the 70s wish fulfillment series Fantasy Island, where guests could fulfill their wildest desires. In the twisted world, South Park cast Trump as Fantasy Island's Mr. Roarke, while Vance is portrayed as Fantasy Island's character Tattoo, Mr. Roarke's loyal and subservient assistant. He's drawn with an exaggeratedly large, bloated head, and nod to both Trump's portrayal on the show and the memified AI portraits that have circulated online. The visuals of Trump literally kicking around a dwarf-sized Vance perfectly captures how he's portrayed as a lapdog, constantly belittled, mocked, and reduced to the role of a hype man rather than a power player. Despite the harsh satire, Vance has seemed to take it in stride. After the episode aired, the vice president reacted posted on X stating, "Well, I finally made it." Because in 2025, getting roasted on South Park apparently means you're someone special. As for Cartman, he ends the episode being dragged out of the Charlie Kirk Award for Young Master Debaters, screaming, quote, "You stole my shtick," as Clyde wins the trophy. And as for Mr. Mackey, he's still trapped at Mar-a-Lago after he's offered a promotion as the new Secretary of Homeland Security right before Trump tries to seduce him into bed, where you can see Satan laying. Freaked out, Mackey runs through a hall, opening different doors, revealing scenes such as men getting massages from young spa workers, and even Dora the Explorer herself. Eventually, he finds Clyde in a game room and has a quiet heart-to-heart, much like the one at the start of the episode, only this time, Mackey admits chasing a paycheck or a nut isn't worth sacrificing your values. But what's your take? Share your thoughts below and follow us everywhere at What's Trending.